Waiting for the sunshine.
We're not ready yet.
Waiting for the sunshine.
We gotta become it first. All right, becoming Johnny, let's go. 1 to 10. What kind of hair day we gonna have today? We should do something different today. Something like that. Hi, my name's Johnny. Johnny Sunshine. Hey, raise your hand if you've ever thought to yourself, man, I can't seem to get out of my own way. Self-sabotage, it's a real thing. And there are a lot of people walking around in circles out there, and they don't have to be. Maybe you're one of them and don't even know it. Maybe all you need is for someone to come along and open up and talk about self-sabotage. And maybe that someone is a washed-up 90s soap star who just happens to have awesome hair. Hey, think about all the amazing things human beings have accomplished through time. Has humankind lucked into some things? Yeah, sure. We're bound to, sooner or later, discover the wheel, right? But Thomas Edison didn't just luck into creating the light bulb, and Alexander Graham Bell didn't just accidentally invent the telephone. But what if the world's greatest minds never got a chance to shoot their shot? And what if the only thing that kept them from changing the world was themselves? So there are obvious examples of self-sabotage. This guy I used to run around LA with back in the day had this crazy movie called Leaving Las Vegas. It was real big in the 90s. Maybe you've heard of it. Anyway, Nick Cage played this crazy role. He lost his family, lost his job, so he hatches this idea where he's going to move from LA to Las Vegas and just drink himself to death. It won a bunch of Academy Awards, and it was wild. And you don't have to be Dr. Phil to identify the self-sabotaging behaviors that are displayed in this movie. But there are so many other, smaller self-sabotaging behaviors that people are just quick to brush aside. Ever been told repeatedly that you're too hard on yourself? Could be a form of self-sabotage. When you're faced with some adversity, are you quick to say, oh man, here we go again, instead of trying to stay positive? Are you a chronic procrastinator? Ever feel like a fake? Do you have a to-do list that's a mile long every single day? A list you know you'll never finish? Do you live in a constant state of stress, like you're white-knuckling your way through life on a daily basis? We all feel these things now and again, but if this is how you feel on a regular basis, you might be guilty of self-sabotage. But why in the world would anybody purposely hold themselves back? And you see, that's just it. It's not intentional. It's a subconscious thing. Hey, quick disclaimer. I'm not a real doctor. I just played one on daytime television more than 20 years ago and maybe picked up a few things the couple times I've been a guest on Dr. Phil. But here's what I've come up with in studying my own self-sabotaging behavior along with examples of other self-sabotagers. We set ourselves up for failure because we have a dysfunctional hypothesis somewhere in the back of our brain. And that hypothesis we've formulated over time says, you aren't good enough, or you can't do that, or you've always been at this level. That's where you belong. Don't even think about this level. That's not for people like you. And so what happens is this, subconsciously, we want to prove ourselves right. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand, but you can also flip that around And if you can't possibly visualize something in your mind, how in the world are you going to accomplish it in real life? Oh wow, Johnny, you just blew my mind. So what's next? I'll tell you what, it's real simple. Start by giving yourself a pat on the back. Be proud of yourself for recognizing it. Now that you have an idea of what you're up against, you can deal with it. What helped me was pretty simple. I stayed woke. A state of constant awareness that allowed me to detach from each individual situation, each individual feeling. Fly over it at 30,000 feet and remember that this feeling is temporary. Every time I began to feel a little overwhelmed, I reminded myself that, hey, it's okay. You're doing the best that you can. You're gonna get that list knocked out as soon as you possibly can. I quit beating myself up. And since I now realize that procrastination can be a form of self-sabotage, guess what I did? I stopped procrastinating. It's that simple. And guess what happened? I gained just a little bit of confidence every time I piled up a small win. Hey, not only did I wash and dry the laundry today, but get this, I even folded it and I put it away. Now I don't have to look at that laundry basket on the couch filled with clothes that may or may not be clean. To me, every time I saw that basket there, it made me feel like a failure. Oh, Johnny, stop being so dramatic. No, I'm serious. It might sound silly to some, but that small win helped me get another small win. And that small win, guess what it did? It led me to my next small win. Before you know it, I started piling up those small wins. You do that long enough, and those small wins add up to humongous wins.
Yeah.
Hey, quick story here, and for those who don't know, big music fan here, like 10 out of 10. Anyway, there's this band from back in the day called Hair Supply. You might have heard of them. All right, they were pretty big back in the 80s, and I've heard they're making a comeback. I became friends with the guys after I met them at the Forum in LA in the mid-90s after one of their shows. All right, well, we were friends, not anymore, but that's a separate story. Getting off track here. Where was I? Oh yeah, these guys were as musically talented as anyone I'd ever seen or heard. Their energy was amazing. Their passion was 10 out of 10. Their timing was perfect. They never missed a melody or a riff, and were always perfectly harmonized. Until this one show. So word got to the guys right before they were set to go on stage at Madison Square Garden that Prince was in the crowd watching. Yes, that Prince. Purple Rain Prince. Little Red Corvette Prince. When Doves Cry Prince. You'd think, why would a hair band get their undies in a bunch over that freaky little dude, right? Side note. If you like Prince, we could be friends. Like riding down the PCH, windows down, sunroof open, jamming out in tandem to Raspberry Beret type friends. But I digress. Hair Supply lost it. All right, the guys had never had an off show, ever. But they choked. Straight up, choked. Self-sabotage. But why? I mean, sure, Prince can play 27 instruments and is, without a doubt, the most musically talented human being to ever walk the face of the earth. But Hair Supply had played in front of big-name people before, big-time record producers and record labels, and every one of those times, they killed it. How could this happen? Why did this happen? I don't have the answer for you. You'd have to ask those guys. Most likely something that stems from their childhood, but I don't want to speak on their behalf. Anyway, Prince was there to try and woo Hair Supply. He was trying to get them to ditch the record label they were with to join him with Paisley Park Records, which was, of course, partnering up with Warner Music. It was going to be the largest contract in the history of music. Not just hair bands, music. I forget the exact details of the contract, but it was more money than Michael Jackson was getting with Epic Records and more money than Sire Records had paid Madonna. But when Hair Supply was booed off stage, any chance of landing that mega deal was swept away as well. But hey, shout out to Hair Supply. Those guys are still grinding it out in this business. I've heard some of the recent stuff, and I'm telling you, they are on point, so look for them. All those guys need is another chance.
Waiting for the sunshine.
All right, so here comes the cool part. Once you can identify some of your own self-sabotaging behaviors, you can begin to work through them. And once you take even a small step forward, your eyes are open to the possibility. Your confidence skyrockets as you grow more and more comfortable in your own skin. Every time you shot yourself in the foot before, it took away your energy. And now you're ready for the snowball effect to begin. Instead of wasting energy on negative situations, you're taking that energy and you're putting it into the things that you love, things that bring you joy and happiness. Starting down this path is a game changer, but I think it comes with some responsibility as well. So don't forget to look back for someone who might be in a similar situation, someone that could really benefit from hearing about your experiences. If you don't have any of these self-sabotaging behaviors, congratulations. For real, fantastic. You are blessed. But I'm still glad you heard this message. And I would beg you to keep this information in mind because it is a real thing for a lot of people. So the next time you see someone act out in one of these self-sabotaging type behaviors, show empathy. If you had any idea the types of shenanigans that were going on behind the scenes in daytime TV back in the 90s, you would faint. You have no clue. Just like we have no clue. The types of burdens we're all walking around with through life on a daily basis. And these burdens are real life burdens. So remember, spread love. Don't forget, sprinkle in a little sunshine. I'm Johnny Sunshine.
Waiting for the sunshine. Waiting for the sunshine.